And if you'd like to contact me, you can contact me via my website. Sorry, let me start over. Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Coach's Corner. So I'm going to continue with the brain series where I'm going to talk about language and how that affects reading. But before I move any further, if you have not already done so, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Click the subscribe button. And if you like this video, please be sure to hit like, which is below. If you would like to learn more information about this particular topic, you can check out my blog at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you would like to contact me, you can contact me via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. And I would like to say, because I am a grad student and I do respect everybody's work, that this particular blog is based on one book and one article, I should say. So the book is How the Brain Learns. If you would like to find a link to that particular book so you can purchase it, you can on my blog. And then a really powerful article about, it's an article / study about language acquisition in children. It is called The Great Catastrophe. So I will also provide a link to that in my blog in case you would like to read it. But like I said, this information is based on those two pieces, and I did want to put that out there because plagiarism is a real thing, and I am not plagiarizing anything. I'm just synthesizing information for you. Number 1, spoken language influences how easily a child learns to read. So that means you really need to make sure you're speaking to your children when they are little ones, 1, 2, 3 years old. Make sure you're having those great conversations with them. Number 2, at the age of 12 months, that's when babies begin to attach meaning to words. So that means, like I said, at age 1, you really need to start kicking up those conversations and explaining what those words mean. Number 3, at the age of 8 months, babies learn to distinguish boundaries with words. So an example of that would be being able to distinguish between a greenhouse and greenhouse. So number 4, oh my gosh, when I read this, when I was like, parents everywhere, and they're going to be so upset. But number 4, TV does not support language development. So even though it looks great and the kids are really involved in it, of course it's TV, but we know certain programs are really geared toward education. That does not help students with their language. So it's really just the conversations that they're having, their parents are having with them, that really helps them. Okay, and number 5, I think this is one that lots of people knew, but I decided to say it again anyway. The earlier a child learns a second language, the better, because that's when the brain is really processing words and really distinguishing things. So if you have a 1-year-old or 2-year-old, that's when you need to start just starting with that second language, because they're going to pick it up much more easily than, let's say, a 13-year-old would. Number 6, if you know a word, it's easier to read it. So that means the larger your vocabulary, the more likely it is that when you start reading, you'll be able to pick those words up as you are reading. And number 7, the more words that a child hears in between those ages of 1 and 3, the more successful those particular children will be in school. So like I said in the beginning of this list, you really need to have conversations with little ones, 1, 2, 3 years old, really explaining everything when you're in the grocery store, explaining what all the different foods are, making sure you're explaining how things work, because those conversations are setting the tone for how successful they'll be as students, when they are 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. Okay, so now you're saying, thank you very much for giving me those tips. How do I address this in a classroom? So I'm just going to give you 5 quick things to do in your classroom so that will help support students with reading. Number 1, directly address topics that students do not know. So I know we are torn between what should I let students struggle with and then what should I tell students directly. But if it's something that students just flat out do not know, come on, let's go. Let's give them that information so that it will help them move forward. Number 2, and I know when I say this, it's going to be like, but teach vocabulary. Because just like I said before, the more words that you know, the more easily you will recognize words when you're reading them. So yes, you should teach vocabulary and introduce students to new vocabulary. Number 3, talk to your students. And of course, we talk to our students. But what I mean by talk to our students is make sure you are talking to them and you are having those kinds of conversations where you're really explaining things and introducing new words. So Number 4, use graphic organizers to help support comprehension and understanding. And number 5, use audiovisual aids to help support understanding. So, like I said, this is just a quick list that went over language and the brain and how this helps reading and a few tips. If you like this video, please be sure to click like. And if you have not subscribed yet, please be sure to subscribe. If you would like to know more information about this particular topic, and there is much more detail in my blog, you can check that out at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. If you are interested in contacting me, you can contact me via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. I look forward to seeing you next time.